Welcome everyone to NoDQ&A video here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRiftNoDQ. Before I get started, I would like to give a very special shout out to Hamp Connell. He left an extremely generous super chat on the last YouTube premiere. He is your current reigning and defending NoDQ Super Chat champion. If you're watching the YouTube premiere of this video, if you leave the single biggest Super Chat donation, you will be recognized as the Super Chat champion. With that being said, let's get down to your questions. I have this question from Crom Crayware. New name, not recognizing this one. Hey Aaron, do you see AEW doing cross-brand matches and share talent with either Impact Wrestling or the NWA? Should make all non-WWE shows more interesting? I think it's unlikely at this point. AEW is doing just fine on their own as their own entity. They do not need to team up with any other promotion. If we were ever going to see cross-branding and AEW work with another company, I think the most likely candidate would be New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, of course, because of COVID-19, that is unlikely for a long time. But one day, I would not be surprised if AEW had a working relationship with New Japan. To me, that is the most likely of the possibilities. Other than that, AEW, I think, will continue to do their own thing and build their own brand. This question comes from the Michael Wayne, the analyst. He says, will we see WWE postpone WrestleMania 37 in Los Angeles and go to Tampa instead? And then he added, if California decides to extend the lockdown and mass gatherings, maybe WrestleMania 38 will take place in LA instead. Anything is possible at this point, and we really do not know what's going to happen with COVID-19. There's talk that we might have a vaccine by early 2021. But the thing is, WWE usually puts WrestleMania tickets on sale in November. It's a big event. WWE needs time to prepare for an event of that magnitude. And word is, WWE wants to know by the end of the year if Los Angeles will commit to WrestleMania. Will we even be able to have a stadium show in the United States, period, in spring of 2021? That is a very big question mark now, because even if there is a vaccine, will it be available to an extended amount of people? Will it be widespread? Will this be nipped in the bud by March or April? I'm feeling it's a very big maybe at this time, and maybe WWE will attempt to do something different. Maybe they will try and go overseas to a country where COVID-19 is not an issue or is very little of an issue. We'll have to see if WWE decides to do something different. But if WrestleMania ends up not being in LA in 2021, would not be a big shocker to me. I could see WWE postponing the Los Angeles WrestleMania until 2022 or even 2023 if WWE decides to do Tampa first, which that is also a possibility. TJS, longtime No DQ contributor, says, what are your pet peeves during matches? He says one of his is when wrestlers sit in shoot submissions such as Ronda Rousey's armbar, Kurt Angle's ankle lock, Brock Lesnar's Kimura, etc. As soon as the holds are applied, the opponent would tap in a real fight. Well, that's very true. In wrestling, you have to have the drama. You know, I think back to Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle from WrestleMania 21. Now, as great as that match was, I look back at it, and it's a little ridiculous at times when Shawn is in the ankle lock for so long, and, you know, it's all done for dramatic effect, but in real life, he would not be in that hold for that long without passing out. It's pro wrestling. You know, it's over the top. It's theatrics. But to answer your question directly, anything that makes wrestling look staged when it's really obvious, you know wrestling is a work, but you want to be able to suspend disbelief during matches. To me, when you have all those wrestlers standing on the outside, just standing there waiting to catch somebody, doing a big dive, like, I get it. It's safety. You want to protect the people involved, but man, it just looks so choreographed when you see 7, 8 guys from different teams just standing there looking up, waiting for the guy to catch them. That's one. And the stupid baby face, which I talk about on my live streams, when a baby face gets distracted by a manager or somebody at ringside, and they let go of a submission hold, or they stop pinning somebody because the manager gets up on the apron. I'm like, just stay there. And if you get attacked, you get attacked. You still win the match. So those are my top 2. But I mean, there's a big list. I could go on forever about it, but I think I've said enough for this one. This question comes from Caleb Jacobs. TGS had just mentioned Ronda Rousey, so we continue with the Ronda talk. He says, in your mind, is Ronda Rousey justified in saying she's not coming back because of the ungrateful fans? Not really. I get her thought process. Maybe she feels like she works really hard and the fans don't appreciate her, but you have to be able to take things in stride. Fans are very fickle, as we all know. They like to cheer who they want. They like to boo who they want. Shawn Michaels is the one that really coined that term back in the day, saying that as long as people buy a ticket, he's doing his job and they have the right to boo or cheer whoever they want. Ronda, of course, got booed in Los Angeles at Survivor Series. And again, it's just fickle fans, and I think maybe she took it a little bit personally. She's a professional. She's getting paid, and she should be lucky that the fans care about her at all. If they're booing her, at least they're showing some kind of investment in her. And I would like to think that she's just working everybody with those comments when she says the fans are ungrateful, and the real reason she's gone is because she wants to just spend some time away from the business, and whether it's focusing on starting a family or whatnot, she just wants to lay low for a while. And that's perfectly understandable, and maybe she's just using the ungrateful fans line to stir the pot and do what wrestlers do. Try and create controversy because it creates cash, as Eric Bischoff wisely said back in the day. This question comes from Pokemon Trainer. If you were building a wrestling company and you had to choose one male star and one female superstar from WWE, NXT, AEW, TNA to build around, 8 wrestlers in total, who would you choose and why? That is a loaded question, choosing one male and one female star from each promotion. Okay, I did not really think this through. I'm just doing this on the fly. So I guess it works because I'm going to just pick the first name that comes to mind. So it's my initial reaction here. I'm not doing my research or thinking about it for a while. I'm just going with my gut. So I guess you're assuming active performers that are currently wrestling and not legends or trainers or whatnot. So from NXT, I would pick Johnny Gargano. Gargano is one of the best in-ring performers in the world. He is fantastic. And then as far as female talents go, I would go with Rhea Ripley. If we're trying to build a wrestling company, I see Rhea Ripley and I see star power. I think she has the tools. She's very marketable, and I think WWE should be doing more with her right now. I think they kind of dropped the ball with her. And looking at WWE and star power, I did pick Gargano, but really if I'm talking about trying to build a promotion with star power, I would go with Keith Lee. But Gargano, I'm going to go with him just because I know that he can do a lot of things, not just in the ring, but as far as training wrestlers and that sort of thing, as far as building a company. So you got to look at different aspects of it. Main roster WWE, I would go with Becky Lynch if she counts. She's inactive right now, but to me, she's the most marketable star that WWE has had. If not her, might be unpopular, but Charlotte Flair would be my next choice in WWE. And as far as a male superstar goes, that is a tough one. I would consider somebody like Drew McIntyre. I would perhaps go with him. Maybe Roman Reigns. Again, are we counting Roman Reigns because he's not active right now? But Drew would probably be my guy. He just seems to be on fire right now. And, he's got the look. He's got the in-ring skills. AEW, I would probably go with Jon Moxley as my choice. Or Chris Jericho, even though Jericho's getting up there in age. And as far as female talent in AEW, Britt Baker. I think she's got the tools. And TNA is more difficult because I haven't really been following it much. So I am not going to answer for TNA right now just because I haven't been keeping up with it. And new people might be coming into TNA over the next couple of weeks. So maybe I'll revisit the question down the line with my thoughts on TNA. And I have this question from Calvin. What do you think of the possibility that not Dominic but Aleister Black turns on Rey Mysterio to cost him the match and his eye at Extreme Rules to join Seth Rollins' faction? That's an interesting twist because everyone's thinking Dominic. Dominic's going to be the one if there is a turn at all at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. I would not mind it. I feel like Aleister Black is kind of just there. He's on a treadmill. He hasn't really elevated to a higher level in WWE. He's another guy, going back to that previous question about building a company around. Aleister Black would be one of those guys. Like, he just has all the tools. Great wrestler. He has a unique look. He's tall. He's well built. Like, everything about him, you could make him a star of the company and build your company around him. I would not mind that because I feel like Aleister Black needs something. The only negative would be, would he end up being Seth Rollins' disciple? Like, if he was Seth Rollins' equal and it was kind of like a two-man power trip, I could get behind that. I think that would be a pretty good idea, actually. This question comes from Sun Goshiku. Versus Shawn Michaels at Bad Blood in 97, WrestleMania 25, and WrestleMania 26, do you feel it's fair to say that The Undertaker very well may have had his best match in each of those decades, respectively, against Shawn Michaels? Absolutely. All three of those matches are classics. WrestleMania 25, arguably one of the best matches of all time. And that Bad Blood match put Hell in a Cell on the map. That was the one to set the bar oh so high, and Mick Foley arguably went even higher by taking even bigger risks. But that was one of my all-time favorite cage matches, and of course the retirement of Shawn Michaels, big moment. So I would agree with your comment there. You're asking me if I would feel that it's fair to say that. Yes, I do think that is an accurate claim to make. One more question here from Colin Andrew. You're stuck on a desert island and you only have 3 matches that you can watch until the end of time. What 3 matches would they be? That's a tough one because I feel like I would lose my mind just watching the same 3 matches over and over again. But, going back to that last question from Sun Goshiku, I would have to include one of the Shawn Michaels Shawn Michaels Undertaker matches. Probably 25, just because it's an all-time great. Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin from WrestleMania 13. One of my all-time favorite matches, maybe my all-time favorite. And just something that would always be fun to watch because of the spectacle. I'd have to put in one of the latter matches. So maybe the WrestleMania 17 TLC match or the SummerSlam one from 2000. One of those matches where there's tons of craziness just to keep me entertained, and I can always rewatch it. And, every time you watch it, it's impressive. So those would probably be my top 3. That will do it for this edition of NoDQ&A video. Thank you all so much for watching and your continued support of NoDQ.com. Make sure you tell a friend about this video. Tell them about the channel. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest wrestling news and rumors. And I will see you guys next time.